Now let us come. Now let us see the whiteboard. Now, so look at the whiteboard. Just again, I have repeated the same thing at first in the beginning. Is the whiteboard visible? Hello,
Yes,
Deepak,
sir.
Ranu.
Yes, sir.
Is the whiteboard visible?
Yes, sir.
Look at the upper part at the top at first. Toxins, general toxins, and host-specific toxin. The general toxins are of two types: fungal toxins, and one of the example of the fungal toxin. The very important example of fungal toxin I have shown here, the 10 toxin. 10, 10 toxin.
Toxin.
Yes, the bacterial toxin. The best example is tap toxin. Tap toxin. Now this is, look here, the host-specific toxin. Host-specific toxin. Best example is Victorine. Victorine, that is the Victorine is also known as HB toxin. The other host-specific toxin include the AM toxin, HC toxin, AL toxin, and you will be surprised that these perfect HC and AM or HC and AL, these abbreviation signify the name of the pathogen. HB stands for Helminthosporium victoriae. Look here. Look here. This HB stands for Helminthosporium victoriae. So these abbreviation like the HB toxin, AM toxin, HC toxin, and AL toxin. All these abbreviations, the name of the toxin has the prefix AM, HC, and AL and HB. These two alphabet of the abbreviation indicate the name of the pathogen that produces the toxin. Now, at first, I will like to remind you, and I want to go back to, let us at first see the type toxin. In the lecture I had I already described this toxin. Now at first look at one of the general toxin is still to be described here. Now I will switch over to this host specific toxin after describing this one. After describing the uh, toxin which I have described in the previous lecture. Now let us come to the general toxin first. Tap toxin. This tap toxin is produced by a bacterium which is called Pseudomonas. Pseudomonas typhi. This Pseudomonas in the tobacco plant. This disease is known as wildfire disease. This disease is known as wildfire disease which takes place in tobacco plant. What happens? What is the mode of action of this toxin? Tap toxin. If you are asked to write your answer, right answer in exam, you will have to describe the mechanism of one of the two toxin. You may list the name of all the toxin like the general toxin, fungal toxin, general toxin, bacterial general toxin, and host-specific toxin. But you must also write the mechanism of one or two toxin in detail in your examination. So just I have taken from the general toxin side, you must explain in detail the toxin, and from the bacterial toxin, you must explain in detail this tap toxin. And I have here shown you the mechanism of this tap toxin. Look here. This toxin. What is the chemical composition of the tap toxin? This tap toxin is made up of the it is a chemically a dipeptide. What is the dipeptide? You know, I think that you have already studied biochemistry. And this is the dipeptide consisting of two amino acids. This tap toxin is a very chemically it is very simple, and it consists of only two amino acids linked together by a peptide bond. And these amino acids included in this tap toxin is a threonine. Threonine is a type of amino acid. I think that was quite aware with the term amino acid protein. You have already studied all these things in your BSc Botany Part 3, paper 5. Paper 5, you have to study. You have to study biochemistry in paper 5 during your BSc Botany Part 3. Now I think that all of you are quite aware with these terms: amino acid, polypeptide. Okay. So now let us look at the chemical composition of this TAP toxin. TAP toxin is chemically made up of 2 amino acid linked by the peptide bond. Therefore, you can say that it is
Excuse me, sir.
yes.
Sir, someone remove me, sir. Right now, sir.
What has happened?
कोई remove कर दे रहा है, sir.
Achha, now let us look at. Let me at first explain these things, and then I will talk to you. This is the TAP toxin. TAP toxin is a polypeptide. This TAP toxin is a dipeptide consisting of 2 amino acids, threonine, and you know this TAP toxin is inactive toxin. Look here. I want to show you that this TAP toxin is inactive. This TAP toxin is inactive initially, and this consists of dipeptide, and the amino acid included in its structure is threonine. And this TAP toxin is initially inactive, and when this TAP toxin undergoes hydrolysis, what happens? Taptogenine is formed. This TAP toxin on hydrolysis is converted into in its active form, and this active form is taptogyne. And this what is the function? How does this taptogyne, which is the active and it has a toxic effect, how does it affect the metabolism of the host cell? This taptogyne, which is the hydrolysis product of the TAP toxin, this undergoes this taptogyne inactivates the enzyme glutamine synthetase. What happens? This taptogyne, which is the active form of TAP toxin, brings about the inactivation of glutamine synthetase. Glutamine synthetase is required for the synthesis of glutamine. Glutamine is what is glutamine? Glutamine is an amino acid. Glutamine क्या होता है? Glutamine is an amino acid. So this taptogyne is about inactivation of the enzyme glutamine synthetase. As a result, decreased level of glutamine. There will be decreased level of glutamine, and what will happen? If the glutamine, if decreased level of there what will happen? If there is accumulation of ammonia in the cell, what will happen? Thylakoid is the unit of thylakoid pathogen. So this there is accumulation of ammonia of chloroplast. What will happen? This will finally result in the necrosis. And I have already described the term necrosis while I was describing the symptoms of the plant disease. So necrosis will take place. Finally, it will increase the photosynthesis. So one of the very the mechanism of one of the I have how does this TAP toxin, what is TAP toxin, what is the chemical nature of this TAP toxin, and how does it affect adversely affect the host cell? Thus, again, this TAP toxin is dipeptide consisting of three, and when this undergoes hydrolysis, it releases the taptogyne, and this taptogyne is the active and it has the toxic effect. What does it do? This taptogyne inactivates the glutamine synthetase enzyme, and when this enzyme is inactivated, there will be decreased level of glutamine, and when there will be decreased level of glutamine will brings about the accumulation of ammonia, and this ammonia had adverse effect, and this brings about the destruction of thylakoid present in the chloroplast, and finally the necrosis will take place, and there will be inhibition of photosynthesis. So this is the mechanism of the working of this. This is the mechanism of working of TAP toxin, which is a general toxin produced by the bacterium Pseudomonas syringae when it attacks the tobacco plant to cause a disease, wildfire disease in the tobacco plant. So this is, I have explained here, the mechanism of one of the bacterial toxins, which is one of the bacterial toxins, general bacterial toxins, And how does it act? I have explained here. In the previous lecture, I had already described the general fungal toxin, about 10 toxin. Now let us come to this today's lecture. Now today's lecture is based on, and today's lecture is on the this host specific toxin. What is host specific toxin? Now I am going to describe host specific toxin. You know, again I want to remind you that in case of general toxin, what happens in case of general toxin? General toxin is a type of toxin produced by a pathogen when it attack and infect a particular host plant. This general toxin is capable of causing disease, or it may have adverse effect in the not only in the plant attacked by the pathogen, rather in the plants of the other species of the host. Right? Again, I want to make it very clear: the general toxin is a type of toxin which not only affect the host plant attacked by the pathogen. Rather, such toxin may have the capability to have adverse effect on the other species of the same plant. So this is called the general toxin. जो अगर मान लिया if a particular pathogen like bacteria and fungi attacks a host plant, ठीक है, there it will produce the toxin. But this toxin can also have adverse effect on the other species of the host plant. So such toxins are known as general toxin. But on the other hand, now I want to make it very clear between the general toxin and the host specific toxin. You have already known the general toxin. Now let us come to the host specific toxin. Host specific toxin is a type of toxin which is produced by the pathogen in a plant, in the host plant, and that toxin has adverse effect only on the attacked plant, not on the other plant, not on the other species. Therefore, we can use the term host specific toxin. The toxin produced by the pathogen in the attacked host plant has no adverse effect on the other प्लांट. यानी इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि होस्ट स्पेसिफिक का मतलब ये है कि जो ये टॉक्सिन जब कोई एक पैथोजेन किसी एक होस्ट प्लांट पर अटैक करता है, उसको इन्फेक्शन कर दिया, उसमें बीमारी कर दिया, और वहां जो टॉक्सिन बनाया वह टॉक्सिन अब दूसरे प्लांट पर, दूसरे स्पेसीज पर उनका कोई प्रभाव नहीं होता है. ये सिर्फ उसी स्पेसीज पर जिस प्लांट पर ये अटैक किया है उसी प्लांट पर ये अटैक करेगा या उसी के अपने स्पेसीज पर करेगा. दूसरे स्पेसीज पर इनका कोई प्रभाव नहीं होता है. इसलिए कहा जाता है कि ये जो होते हैं होस्ट स्पेसिफिक टॉक्सिन होते हैं. ये जो होस्ट स्पेसिफिक टॉक्सिन्स हैं, होस्ट स्पेसिफिक टॉक्सिन्स आर ऑफ वेरियस टाइप्स, एंड वन ऑफ द बेस्ट एग्जांपल ऑफ द होस्ट